Well, good morning and happy Thursday. The fog is burning off here in beautiful Plymouth. Looks like it's going to be a fairly decent day in America's hometown. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much for joining us for Real Estate News. I'm Jack from Jack Gately Real Estate and the Online Real Estate Academy. Great to have you here this Thursday morning. So, tomorrow is the big jobs report. The big jobs report comes out tomorrow. That's kind of the biggest economic data of this week, maybe of this month. And today we have Fed speak. We have like 3 Fed speakers today. And also initial jobless claims came in just before we went live. Came in at 8:30. Initial jobless claims were slightly lower than what was expected. So another this is a very small indicator that the job market continues to be strong. Now, you can't take a lot of stock in the weekly jobs number. Mostly we're looking at, there's a lot of noise in that. Mostly we're looking at tomorrow's 8:30. That would be Friday at 8:30 monthly job number. That's going to be non-farm payrolls come out tomorrow, first Friday of the month. And that will be the big one. So yesterday, bonds sold fairly well. So, well, I shouldn't say that. Interest rates came down just a teeny bit, a little bit better than before. So, but not much. It was just basically a pause in the market. I'm not saying it's a reversal. We're going to talk more about interest rates in this report. Thanks for joining us. So, by the way, I just can't tell you how you, as a real estate agent, need to start to really think about your content marketing strategy. And the way I'm saying that is because, as you know, over the last 6 months, and even if the last month, I've really doubled down on my YouTube channel. And wow, over the last week, I've started to see how this really works. You know, how many videos have you watched about content is king and, Gary Vaynerchuk and all these people? And over the last week, I've started to really see some spinoffs from this. So, yeah, and you should be doing the same thing. Like if you're trying to get sellers in your community, as we spoke about yesterday, you've got to come up with a content marketing strategy. Or you just got to continually shell out money for Zillow, billboards, or TV ads, or whatever it is you're shelling out money for. But, if you don't have that type of money, let me just tell you that from a sustainable point of view, you have you and your own effort. And whether it's a blog, written words, people still read, a podcast, or a video thing of some type. It doesn't have to be live like this. But any one of those things, what is your content strategy for 2024? Because I'm telling you right now, over the last week or so, I've started to see spinoffs from this. And, obviously, what type of spinoffs, Jack? Hiring agents. I run an agency, right? I want to hire agents. I want to hire, and I'm getting a little bit pickier with the agents that I have. So yes, that happened yesterday. So this whole content marketing thing, I was always a believer, but now I'm actually seeing just a kernel of the benefit. And I think it can go much, much higher from here. By the way, we're also very close to monetizing this channel. But I think it will be kind of a joke when we actually do particularly monetize it. It will be pennies, literally pennies. But, it's a kind of a goal we've had for the channel, and that would be fantastic. I think the way to monetize on YouTube for a lot of YouTubers is actually off YouTube by either hiring agents or take my real estate class. And if you're currently licensed and not thinking about being a broker, you should think about being a broker for a lot of reasons, including the flexibility that it gives you. Also gives you leverage when you negotiate any type of compensation plan, because they know that you could leave. And if you want to be a part-time agent, remember, we just launched the Part-Time Agent Academy, which is 6 hours of Jack Gately wisdom on how to be a part-time agent. And all of my agents are part-time, and I started in this business part-time. All right, so I want to switch topics to and talk about buyer agency requirements. So there's this article from Wave Group showing instructions should require buyer broker agency agreements. And I'm kind of curious whether you believe buyer agency agreements should be required. And I think there's a couple of different ways to think about this. There would be some type of rule, whether that's from the Board of Registration or the MLS or the Realtor Association or whatever, some type of rule that requires you to have a buyer agency agreement, or a rule from your broker. And currently, the way I work here in my office is I allow my agents to decide whether they want to get a buyer agency agreement. Of course, we have it available, but I allow my agents to decide whether they want to ask their clients to sign that or not. And I think there is a choice, just like Mom said, John, you have choices. There's a choice. You might have more clients if you don't use the form, but what type of client, what quality of client is it? Because they could be cheating on you, right, with another agent. But you might, if you use the form, you might have fewer clients, but they might be quality clients. See how that works? So, if it was me, given the current environment that we're in, I'm pretty sure that I'm leaning towards requiring my agents to use the otherwise optional buyer agency broker form. I am totally, absolutely against a universal rule, whether it come from wherever it would come from, upon high, that would require the buyer agency broker form. So I'm against some type of mandate. I hate mandates. You know me, I'm a free market guy. I hate mandates from above. But give me my choice. Technically, all of the clients that are represented by my agents are technically actually my clients. That's how the law works. My agents are agents of my agency. So give me the choice to make the rule for my agency. Give Sally, who's a broker down the street, give her the choice. Keep it the way it is basically what I'm saying. However, having said that, I do think that it's wise to use the buyer agency broker form going forward from here. But any type of rule, especially if it would come from the MLS and or the Realtor Association, I think would be some type of like backdoor antitrust violation, which I really can't put my thumb. I can't elucidate that right now. I'm not a lawyer. I was way too smart to go to law school. But that sounds to me as some type of backdoor antitrust violation. So I was just riffing off this. Showing instructions should require buyer broker agency agreement. And I've heard this idea floated that there would be some type of rule from the MLSs or from the associations that would require listing agreement, that would require any type of showing to prove that you have a buyer agency broker agreement. And to me, that just is a total antitrust violation. And it's just kind of a backdoor way to keep things exactly the same. So I'm not a big fan of that. Let's keep it optional. Let's remember that market conditions change from time to time. This article over at Real Estate News, I always try to give them credit. AJ Latrace, Homes.com says it's the second to Zillow, but does the math add up? Homes.com exec told Real Estate News it took its playbook for growth and it's working. Some competitors and outside observers see the data differently. So I'm kind of curious. I don't have the answer to this, but I'm curious from your perspective, and I'd love to see a comment here, by the way. And I should also say, I'd love to see a comment here from your perspective. Do you see your buyers and or sellers going to Homes.com? Homes.com? I don't. to me, the battle of the portals is over, at least for now, and Zillow is clearly won. Trulia, which is owned by Zillow, is a far distant second. You've got Realtor.com, and basically those are the top three. Right? I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's right. Homes.com, Realtor.com, Zillow, and Trulia. You know, I was talking with an agent on Facebook the other day about the necessary requirement to join the Cape MLS because sellers think that you get some type of special syndication by listing it with the Cape Cod MLS. And that is not true anymore. It hasn't been true for 5, 7, maybe even 10 years. The syndication is the same, whether you list it with MLS PIN or whether you list it with the Cape MLS or the Berkshire MLS. Syndication is the same. The portals have won. Those 4 or 5 top portals have won. I'm not saying that Zillow is going to be on top of the portals forever, right? That's probably Homes.com might overtake them at some point. What do I care? I don't think I care at all because I don't advertise on any of those platforms. But to think that your local MLS, like especially a miniature fiefdom like the Cape MLS, which if you can tell, like I loathe, and I've been happy to see them go out of business. Especially those little Cape MLSs and those tiny little, it doesn't matter where you list it. The syndication is the same. Remember the power of the local newspaper, like for instance, the Cape Cod Times. It's a shadow of what it was back in the 90s, right? Back in the 90s, the Cape Cod Times was an institution. And you could say this about a lot of regional papers all over the country. And now it's just owned by some giant conglomerate, and it's a joke, right? You know, nobody reads it really. All right. It was always a joke. Cape Cod Crimes, we used to call it back in the day. I see most of the traffic coming from Zillow. I don't see Homes.com rising in people's consciousness. I'm just kind of curious of what you had to say. What's really important to me today is this fantastic chart that I believe comes from Black Knight and Lance Lambert from Fortune put it up. Active mortgages, this is a fascinating chart, by interest rate and vintage. So basically, if you're looking at this chart, the yellow mortgages are of the 2023 vintage. And the green is from 2022, and the greener and then the grayer are older vintages. So I've had my mortgage for a long time, so I'm in the gray zone here. But if you look at this is by interest rate on the left-hand axis there, and then we have dollar volume on the bottom, or units on the bottom, total number of mortgages. And wow, look at all those mortgages in green. Those are mortgages that have been written in the last, say, green and bluish teal since 2015 to 2022. And they're all paying somewhere under 5%. So a lot of them are paying in the 3% range. This is a fascinating chart. You know, we've always talked about how there's this mortgage lock situation where the higher the rates go, the less appealing it is to sell the house. And also, the harder it is to afford the house. But this is the absolute best chart I've seen to actually demonstrate that, where you can literally see where the distribution of interest rate. And as you can see, there's a lot of people that have interest rates in the 6s. That's in the, I wish I had a telestrator thing so I could circle it, front that are in the yellow. And then look at all those people in the green and in the teal. They're actually, if you really look at it, the kind of the sweet spot there is somewhere about 4%. Why the hell would you sell to buy a smaller house at 4%? That doesn't, right? Why would you change your mortgage? If you got 4% now, I've said this before, if you got 4% now, why would you sell your house to buy a smaller house and pay 7.75. You just wouldn't. That's just foolish, right? You'd keep it. That's a great chart. Nice job. I think that came from Black Knight and courtesy of Lance Lambert. Mortgage rates. Let's see. We at the 10-year Treasury this morning at 9 a.m., we are at 4.739, up a tick or two. I think we're going to have a fairly mild day, except for the Fed speak. There's 3 Fed speakers, I think I said today. Except for that, I think we're going to have a mild day in anticipation of tomorrow's job report. Mortgage News Daily has our 30-year fixed at 7.7. 7.7. What was it the other day? Was it 7.72? Yeah, it was 7. So yesterday, which was kind of an off day in the market, I think the bonds kind of like, oh, let's just take a break. And mortgage rates went down overnight, 7.72 to 7.7, but so basically nothing at all. That's right. Like, why would you refinance, or why would you sell to get a higher rate? It's just dumb. So you have a house and it's too big for the 2 people, and the kids are off to college or have gone and got married. You might as well just keep the house, because usually you'd sell, right? Usually, empty nesters, you're going to downsize, and you're going to move to a condo or something like that, or you're going to move to Florida, you're going to downsize, and you'd get something smaller. You don't need the big 3 or 4 bedroom suburban nightmare house that you had. And am I projecting a little bit? And you're going to downsize. But why would you? Right? And I'm thinking that myself, because I got one kid that's already flown the coop, and I got another kid. She graduates from high school this spring. Congratulations. And so I'm not that far away from having that empty nest situation. And I'm looking at the house, and I'm like, I love this house, and I've loved living in my neighborhood. But I'm also thinking of like, do I really need this anymore? And I in 2 or 3 years, no, I don't really need this anymore. And it would be nice to get something different, something new again. But I think a lot of people that are in my shoes, or soon to be in my shoes, or or a couple of laps ahead of me, are thinking the exact same thing. Why would I do that? Why would I sell to get a smaller house and maybe even a higher payment? That's just dumb, right? Why would I do that? All right. So thanks for coming today. I've been thinking of whether or not we should kind of come up with a schedule for the broadcast, because I'm definitely loving this. And I'm thinking 8:30 or 9. I'm not sure what you think, 8:30 or 9. By the way, I also am very grateful for everyone who has subscribed. We went and hit the 2,000 mark, and now we're up over 2,100 now, which is awesome. So thank you for subscribing, and also appreciate those who have made comments relative to the audio quality. Audio is the most important part of video, and I'm working on it. I think yesterday's videos were better. And so continue to work in that. So what do you think? 8:30 as a set time, or 9? My gut tells me 8:30. That's when a lot of the economic data comes out. So that would be helpful. It'll be simultaneous with a lot of the economic data that comes out. But then what if I can't always make it at 8:30? Like 9 is a little safer. It's a toss-up, right? I'd love to hear your comments. All right, until then, have a great Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow with the jobs report, which, you know what? I should make a commitment to do tomorrow's show at 8:30. All right, we'll see you then. Have a great and profitable day. Bye-bye.